Brian Anderson.
And I'm Bobby Fazio. And welcome to another edition of Class Racing Today, December 14th, 2020. Crazy this year that would never end is about to end. We only have 2 weeks left, 11 days till Christmas, if anybody's allowed to celebrate Christmas, depending on where you live. And
have you been naughty or nice yet, Bobby? Are you on the naughty list this year?
I'm always on the naughty list.
You drive a Ford. What do you expect?
Santa Claus hasn't visited me in since the 89-90 season, I think it was.
Yeah, I think I was on the naughty list last year because I asked for a horsepower reduction, and then they got rid of that completely the way I read the rule book. So I'm not asking for nothing this year.
You got to ask Santa Svengross for your reduction. Not for your car. You're wasting time trying to ask about what that car is.
I'm just asking for horsepower. I want to make my car faster. I need to redo that.
Ask for a horsepower penalty, so it'll force you to work harder.
No, I just asking my engine builder for horsepower.
Or that doesn't come from Santa though. That's going to take dollars and cents.
You got to look at it this way, Bobby, though. Instead of trying to change the rules and complain about them, just spend that much time working on our cars and we'll be faster.
I know. But that not as fun.
Well, just take the tips, like last week we had some good tips. Hopefully today, with another world champion on, maybe he can give some tips where we can get faster without spending lots of money.
I'm sure he'll give us good tips. I don't know if there'll be ones that require not spending a whole lot of money. But yes, he is a world champion. As a matter of fact, he has 6 national event wins, 8 divisional event wins.
9.
Come on, I got that right off NHRA's website.
Virginia was number 9.
9 divisional event wins. All right. I'm going to have to try and prevent him from getting number 10. And actually, for the first time in NHRA history, he and his brother, his identical twin brother, Bryan, finished first and second in national points. What quite an amazing feat. So, Mr. Bryan Warner, he actually drives a 1990 IROC Z Camaro and Superstock J automatic, or when he feels like it, it's an 86 Camaro in GTJ automatic, because those GTSS rules that none of us understand. None of us schmucks like me and Brian understand. That's why Bryan Warner is here today, to help us, understand more. Bryan is actually a Washington, D.C. firefighter, Bryan Warner. I got that correct? And
yes.
A volunteer firefighter in Duncannon, Pennsylvania, where he lives?
That's correct.
That's crazy. So
I have a quick question. So you're a twin, right? Which one was first?
Byron, 3 minutes.
Jeez. Getting beat by your little brother.
Mom said he was born. My mama said. Mom said he was born, and the doctor was like, "Hey, wait a minute, there's another one in there." They didn't even know back then.
So you must be he should be a TruStart advocate since he got to leave first.
You'll get my opinion.
Yeah, let's save that for later there.
But don't you is it
hey, wait a minute. First of all, let's not forget about your first question that you're going to ask about going faster. What combination do you run, Brian? What's in your car?
LS1.
In the what year? 69 Camaro?
No, I run a 99 Camaro LS1.
Oh, you have a 99? I thought you had a 69.
No.
All right. If you had a 69 with a big block, I was going to make a suggestion on how to make that thing go real fast, because I know somebody that's really got a lot of those cars that fly. But the LS stuff, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, what do you have for fuel injection?
Currently running big stuff, but we're switching over to Holly. Right now we're doing a refresh and switching over to the Holly system.
I tell you, I run the big stuff. Meanie's been a great help to me, especially this year. All the all the issues I seem to have. But
issues? I've never seen you have any issues.
Well, I'll tell you about them.
Has got
anyway,
he won 72 races this year, and he had issues apparently.
I did. Anyway, the LS stuff, I told Bobby yesterday. I said, not a lot of people know this, but Byron and I are actually in the process. I mean, it's just been a slow process, especially slowed up now with all the COVID stuff. You can't get anything. We're building LS motors, so this is going to be an interesting TruStart conversation also. But
you know, so you're building an LS to go GT then?
Yeah, factory GT. Yep.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a learning curve, just trying to figure out the tuning and that stuff, and not knowing anything other than big stuff. Like it seemed really overwhelming when we started. I feel like Meanie's kind of like an evil genius. Like he's so smart, it's hard to have a conversation with people that aren't that way.
Oh, I agree. Every time I ask him a question, he's like just blurts out the answer. And I'm like, okay, well, what tab do I go into? What get me through this step by step so I can do it. But we figure it out. I mean, I've been doing this, the fuel injection stuff for a few years now. And, you know where to go and what to do. But he, just like he thinks that this system as well as he does.
Yeah.
And he made it. He designed it. He built it.
And the new Gen 4 stuff is pretty impressive too, with the router and how you can wirelessly tune, and I like the idea of not plugging into it.
Yeah, that's neat. But we still have the Gen 3 stuff.
The problem I have is just everybody that helps me tune it, and everybody around's all Holly, so I have a really good Holly support system, and there's so many things I'm trying to learn into this game. I got to keep it as simple as I can, and if somebody already knows how to do it, I don't need to try to learn something else. I'm just trying to be as efficient as I can. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the route we're going to go with the LS stuff too.
Yeah. No, it's pretty neat. It's definitely the guys that know how to tune. I mean, I don't think there's a lot to it. It's fairly basic. It's just figuring your way around the systems and which places to click. And I haven't had any problems with the big stuff. Like I said, it's always worked. I don't get in there a lot. Sometimes communication hookups and just little basic stuff like that's kind of a pain.
I like to keep an eye on my air fuel ratio, see where it's at. You have to make a few tweaks here and there if you go to different tracks and have drastic weather changes or whatever, but just to make sure it's not running too lean or too rich.
Mm-hmm. Do you try to make a tweak before Q1 before you even get there, or do you just make the run as is?
I wait till my first run, get the data, and go from there. And I once the last qualifying session's done, that's it for the changes. It's running the way it is, and I'm not going to change it then.
You're an Alpha N kind of guy, right?
Yep.
So if you're qualifying at the Nationals on a Thursday and it's like 80 degrees, and then Friday it's 52 degrees outside, do you just leave it alone? You just got to deal with it?
Yep, pretty much. I mean, another thing too is, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I run a restrictor plate a lot, and I don't like to tune with the restrictor plate. You like to tune it up. So this year, and I think this really helped me a lot this year, is I entered most of the test sessions at the races I went to.
Yeah.
And Virginia, I went to both finals. I put 21 runs on my car that weekend.
Whew.
So yeah, and got 4 test runs, had 2 qualifiers the first race, and then 1 qualifier the second race. So had plenty of time there to get good data. And that race, you talk about the problems that I had. I had a problem with the car shutting off on me off the starting line. It did it at Maple Grove, 3rd round. I lost that round at the divisional race. And then the following race, we had the Class Racer Nationals at New Media. And the first day, I lost a couple hundredths where I didn't think I should have in the first race. And then the second race, it shut off on me again off the line against Jeff Tripp first round. running an 8-second car and your car shuts off the line, you're in trouble. And he went blowing by me at the 8th mile, and I was history there. So, you know, we were trying things all year long, different things. And I had a little upgrade done to the heads over the winter by Tilburg, and we just playing catch up with the air fuel the whole year up till that point, basically. And I decided that Virginia, enough was enough, and Herbie Knoll talked me into just taking his program, putting it in my car, and going from there. And we did it. You see the results.
So the car shutting off on you, was that a tuning issue, or was that just something silly, like a bad ground or something?
No, it wasn't anything to do with grounds or electricity or anything. You know, it was all the fuel delivery.
Wow.
The one thing I discovered, and I don't know how it happened, but it's happened to me twice now. The program went into closed loop, and I didn't put it there. So, and the guys, you know, at least on purpose. And the guys are telling me, you know, that tune these things regularly, that on closed loop is okay to run every now and then. Like when you make a drastic change and you want to, you know, not run too rich or too lean, you want the thing to correct, then you put it on closed loop for a couple runs to get it in the ballpark where you can tune it.
Right.
Well, if you leave it there, which I discovered, guys and a lot of other guys had this issue running closed loop, that it loads up off the starting line. Like it's calling for, you know, so much more fuel than it needs
On the
right
trans
off the
brake,
line.
you mean?
Yep. And then, because the air fuel ratio, if you ever looked at your readout on the trans brake, is way lean.
Way lean, so it's
Way
dumping,
lean. It's like
correcting.
Yep. So it's just dumping fuel in there. And
see, the Fast XFI I have, it automatically when you're on a rev limiter, it shuts off closed loop. I like that feature.
Yeah. I wish. Maybe the Gen 4 stuff has it, but I don't know. The 3 doesn't.
You can set the parameters for like when it turns off and on, but I don't think there's actually like an auxiliary input that you can shut it off. You know, you can have it at like 4,000 RPM or 5,000 RPM or whatever, or temperatures, but I don't think you can do an auxiliary input like where it actually switches off and on.
But anyway, we got her figured out.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
So Herbie uses big stuff too, then. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not giving out his secrets.
Are you like a multiple timing curve guy? Like, do you, like in your timing chart, do you have?
The funny thing was with my old program, and I had another tuner set that program up. That was like that. That was timing changing going down the track. Now there's just one timing change. So I go from timing X in pretty much the first half of the run, and off the launch maybe to about the 3:30 to timing Z going, you know, the second half of the run.
Yeah, I kind of, when I bought my motor, actually was one Alcord I had, and I got his computer and I plugged it in, and that's basically how we started it and ran it. And every time I tried to play with it or tried to have other people help me do stuff, I'd always just go back to that tune, and it was always just happy. I mean, I've tweaked the fuel a little bit now with a few changes, but there's all kind of, I mean, it's got crazy timing curve stuff all programmed in there. I think every box is something different. And so people are like, oh, I'll just put in one number. And I'm just curious what other people are doing. I've heard it both ways. So
yeah, you gotta have a crank trigger for that feature, though. That's the problem with the car that I run in stock. We're not allowed a crank trigger. My RPM signal is horrific looking, very jagged. So whenever I tried those multiple timing curves, I mean, the timing is just going like this back and forth to different timing settings. So I feel I have to lock it just at one number, unfortunately. So stock allows crank triggers. Thank you.
Good luck with that. I tried to get a vacuum pump in regular super stock, and they voted that down. I mean, what performance advantage is that? It's a safety issue, if anything. You know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But hey, here we go. You know, I know this is a good topic on your show.
Well, we do have a lot of
modified cars can run them, can't they?
So here's
I line up against. Hey, I line up against them in the other lane sometimes. I can't run it.
Let's just back up and make it. Let's dumb this down a little bit first. So what's the difference between a crank trigger and like a reluctor wheel? Like, because I don't run a crank trigger, I have like a 24X reluctor wheel. Is that technically the same thing? Or
you're allowed to run a crank trigger on that car, I believe.
But I don't.
Oh.
It just runs the stock reluctor wheel.
Do you record do you record with that big stuff?
Yep.
Check a playback. Is your see if on my recording my tack signal looks like this the whole time. So if yours is nice and straight, like on my super stocker with the crank trigger, mine's like really nice shift, nice, no jagged.
That's the way mine is.
So check yours, Brian.
Yeah, it's smooth like butter. I think maybe you're just running the wrong system.
The new guy telling the veteran.
I know. Jeez.
Well, I'm not
That's
wrong.
The way we are. That's the world we're in, isn't it, Bobby?
Yeah. Oh my. So the modified. Yeah. I mean, given we had a nice, friendly, modified driver on last week, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But I did tell him I'm not a huge fan of the hood scoop cars being in super stock. But hey, that's the way it is. I knew that coming in, so I don't want to complain about it too much. But now that you just brought up the point that they're allowed to run vacuum pumps and we're not, like, this is where super stock just doesn't make sense to me sometimes. Brian, Warner, and Brian.
Hey, you're gonna. I know what road you're going here, and I mentioned it numerous times to people. I know it's been brought up. The modified cars and the front wheel drive cars, they can run a whole aftermarket front suspension. Why can't I do that on my car? I mean, you can't tell me that's not an advantage ET-wise, let alone safety-wise. I mean, there I am with my stock A arms and, just running the car basically the way it was delivered from the factory. And they've got a whole, AFCO or Strange or whatever front suspension under the car.
Right. So do you think that you should be allowed to run an aftermarket, or they should have to run more of an OEM type?
No, I think this is super stock. Stock eliminator should be stock. Super stock, obviously we can do a lot of things, but why can't we upgrade the suspension? We have a 4-link in the back. I mean, how many years has that been a standard feature per se on a super stock car? You can't do that to a stock eliminator car.
Right.
You have a new car, but why not? Well, what's holding this back?
Do you think some of that comes down
I know they claim it's money, right? But we all know, I mean, to go really fast, you got to spend money. I mean, look at the fast class cars. They're real fast. Are these people firemen, policemen, that make their own, that race on their own dime mostly? Or are they business owners? Are they, I don't know, lottery winners or whatever? Guys with unlimited funds to throw at this racing operation. I mean, that's basically, they're the fast people out there. I mean, and when I say fast, I mean, 140, 150 under these indexes fast. And you do have the guy with the oddball combinations, the taxi cabs, whatever they got out there that they make fly, but they're few and far between. There's only a couple of them in the whole country. But the guys that pretty much light the world on fire when they have a heads up run and outrun the guy by 0.2 to the 1,000 foot, shut off. They're the ones, and I'm not talking about me racing a '69 Camaro and Superstock J automatic. I mean, we all know that combination's been beat up, and mine's been preserved pretty much. This LS or this L98 combination hasn't been run, probably but what, 8-10 years now maybe in super stock. I mean, nobody ran it because the heads were junk.
Right.
Now we can run the aftermarket head on them, and you see the result. The guys are flying with it.
Did they make you carry extra weight for the aftermarket head?
5 horsepower.
Yeah.
Well, I get that I'm a complete noob to the sport and understanding everything, but I think you could basically summarize it as there's 3 categories, right? You have the money tree guys that just are going to spend whatever it takes to be the fastest guy out there, and that's what they care about. Then you have probably the creative guys that are going to find the odd combo, something that has been run. They're really going to research what combo makes the most sense, which one's easiest to go to fast. They're really going to analyze everything and try to use that for an advantage. But then you also have some guys that maybe don't have a money tree, but they just work really hard. I know several guys that they're some of the fastest in their class. They're not millionaires. They're spending some money on the car, but they also work really damn hard. They do everything themselves. Like, they're always constantly trying to hone in the sport. And I think those are kind of the 3 categories. Like, if I can't I can't outspend people. I have a combo that's been hammered pretty hard. So I'm trying to work on myself. Like, how can I drive better? If I am going to put X amount of dollars in my car, where can I put it to get the biggest turnaround or biggest, bang for the impact? But, there's some people that just work really, really hard too, and to get better. But I think,
I agree. But with all that time and effort in their testing and I just envy the guy that can go out there and test and make a run, then go back in the 90-degree heat, get under his car and change a converter, and then go in the grass or the dirt, and get out there and make another run and just to find out that thing didn't pick him up, maybe 100th or so, or maybe slowed him down 100th or whatever, and then you go back and get under the car and put the old converter back in and go or put another. To me, that's not fun. But granted, I do go testing. We test at least once or twice a year just to make sure that things are going to run right. Because I'm the guy that I like to do all my work here in the shop, and when I go to the races, I like to concentrate on winning the race. I'm not out there to try to find out if I can pick up 200-300 with this or with that, unless somebody suggests I try something. But last year or this year I did test a lot, and I don't know, maybe I should do it more. I don't know. The result,
I'm kind of that way. Like, if there's a test,
should.
I think if there's a test, I'm different. I don't have many runs in a car or even on the drag strip. So anytime there's a test, I'm there. They're like, geez, you're hard on equipment. You're just making passes. Like, why do you want to burn your stuff? I'm like, I have to get better. Like, there's testing for data and there's testing for just getting used to the car and trying different things and the comfort level. And, I built the car. It's a race car. I want to just make passes. The class thing's cool and that's my main focus. But at the end of the day, I just want to go down the track.
Yeah, there's nothing can replace seat time.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Right.
You get, once you get a routine down, you just try to do the same thing every time you go up to the starting line, whether it's a test run or a final round. You get in that groove and get your confidence down, and then you start winning some rounds.
And we kind of veered off topic. I mean, as far as like the GT and the suspension changes, but do you think some of that is just to allow more cars in? Like, let's face it, super stocks, they're not filling events. So, I mean, you kind of want to keep it. You kind of want to get all cars, right?
Honestly, I think the GT, the rule, you're talking about the rule for the super stock cars can run GT?
Well, I'm just saying between GT and modify and letting in all the different kind of cars. I mean, can we really afford to lose cars in super stock, no matter whether they got a hood scoop or aftermarket front suspension? I mean, having more open rules like that and allowing more cars
I guess
to fit
it
in.
depends on. I guess it depends on what part of the country you're in, right, Bobby?
Yeah.
I mean, we can fill a racetrack, that's
Right.
for sure. But I mean, you come to the Maple Grove points race, you're going to see 80, 90, 100 super stockers and a qualified field in stock. Yeah, it's just the way it is within this part of the country.
Right.
But then things I can't figure out is you go to a track like Virginia, easy to get to, right off the highway.
Literally.
And it used to be a Division II track, so it's located right in between a lot of a hotbed of racing. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania. I know it's a pretty long trip for the New Yorkers to get down there. We have, we seem to have a ton of racers that live up in the New York area or just north of that. But it's straight down 95. It isn't that far, and you rarely get a 7-round race at Virginia. And I don't understand that. Beautiful track. There's not a bump in that track from the time you pull in the burnout box to the time you get off the end of the track. That thing is beautiful.
Is it just like a time frame deal? Is it a management issue? Is it how smooth things run?
Clue. No clue. I can't figure that one out.
Yeah, I guess I'm guilty. I haven't run it since 2015. So
I think that is absolutely the best racetrack where we race them, and the facilities not bad either.
Pavement everywhere, right?
Yeah,
I think I was on pavement every time I was there.
Yeah, you got the whatever they call that, dirt, gravel, whatever you park on, but you got paved roads everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go off the blacktop.
I hate driving on stone, even at Maple Grove when I'm out you like pitting out in that hill out there. I hate driving on stones. Just flings them all up under the car. I've gotten flat tires doing it. I don't
I've gotten flat tires there too, but Bobby, I got flat tires more at your favorite track ever.
Englishtown. So did I.
Than I got anywhere else. And that was all paved.
Yeah.
all paved with potholes.
You guys need to come out to the Wild West and driving down like gravel and sand and dirt roads.
You ever been, Bryan? You ever been to Dallas?
No, I haven't.
You want gravel and dust? Go to Dallas.
I need to rethink.
We pulled in that place. Hey, we pulled in that place at 8:00 at night, and Byron was ahead of me in the motorhome and the trailer, and I'm in my pickup truck with my trailer. And he turned right off of the main road to go back around the back gate to get in the track, and he disappeared. The only thing I could see was his tail lights. It was that dusty. Thank God we got a pit spot where we avoided most of that. Only one day did the wind blow where it was blowing in the back of our trailers. The rest of the time it was blowing the other way. Mm-hmm. But that was enough to put a thin layer of that dust all through everything you owned.
We have a pretty neat track here they're redoing up in Rock Falls, Wisconsin. It's pretty funny. We're driving along, and I think they actually had something on Facebook, but they do like a stick shift race. They have all this stuff going on, and I think they had something on Facebook about the road while they're doing construction. They're rebuilding like the pit areas and the turnout. I mean, they've really spent a lot of time and money redoing things. And I think there was a post, something about the road is pretty rough, so you should take this other way. And I'm like, it was getting late. And I'm like, it's literally like an 1/8 mile of gravel. Like, how bad could it be? I'm telling you, that was the roughest 1/8 mile stretch of my entire life. Like, it was washboard, like 6-inch deep ridges every foot. And you're going along, and it's like driving across a cornfield the whole way. I think it took 10 minutes to do that 1/8 mile stretch. My kids are in the truck, stuff's flying everywhere. Open up the trailer, and it's just, oh man, it's like you ran that thing through the dryer and just tumble cycle. I'm like, yeah, I probably should have took the extra 5 minutes and went around. But, for the most part here, you're pitting on grass or sand. And there's some tracks, but it never fails. After you've detailed the car and you polish everything up, it's you get everything clean, and then you always end up parking out in the rhubarb and driving through the dirt. That's all part of the experience.
Reminded me of a story off topic at the national event at Englishtown, where I did have a wonderful paved pit spot. Me and my uncle, my dad, like the whole family would come to that one. Dad went back to PA. My uncle and I were there. The Mickey Thompson guy pulls in, so I wanted to give him a little bit more room. So I was like, let me just move. I'll move the trailer over, a couple feet. Go up, come back. Well, I didn't have I had the car. I have one of those like rubber mats that you drive the front tire into, so it stays put. I didn't have the car in gear, so I moved up a little bit, and I just felt like a boom, and I was like, oh no, and then I backed it up, and here my super stocker, I crashed into all the cabinets up in front of the trailer. So we're like, oh, what are we gonna do? He's gonna kill us. So my uncle and I, we ran to like a Pet Boys in the area. We had to find a headlight. The headlight was smashed. We had to take all the bumper. We were doing all this stuff, but there was no way we were going to fix the smashed cabinets. So Dad came the next day, and it took him about like 2 or 3 hours before he actually noticed all the smashed cabinets in front of the trailer.
You didn't just have like something sitting up in front of there, like.
Oh God, no! But at least the front end, we fixed the car.
Yeah.
I was like, where am I going to find a headlight for this '65 Mustang? But anyways, I went to go warm the car up. I was driving away. He walked in the trailer. He ran out of that trailer. He said, what happened? But I was already warming the car up. I can't hear you. Sorry, driving away.
That's a good topic. Here's a totally random question for you, Bryan. So, as the world champ, how do you figure out where you're going to pit? Like, getting the car ready, getting everything figured out, and then it's like, hey, save me a spot here, save me a spot there. The guys you pit by, like, I think the most stressful thing about the race for me now after my second year is figuring out where do I want to park and how much space do I need? And am I straight? Like,
well, fortunately for us here in Division One, we've developed quite a rapport with some of the guys that are responsible for pitting people, parking people in the pits. And depending on whether that said person's going to be at the races or not, we pretty much say, hey, this is where we want to go. Let us know. Try to keep an eye on it, make sure it's available, or we just try to be, one of the first ones there, and not necessarily the guy that gets there on Monday morning after the last race and goes and parks in the local Walmart and waits till the gates open 20 minutes before he's in the parking lot waiting. But
that's one thing I never thought that would be stressful, right? Though, like, oh, what's this chair? Oh, that's my spot. That's my chair.
You want to see stressful? You want to do this one time. Come to the Atco points race.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna see more miles,
more caution
tape, and more traffic cones and trash cans and beach chairs and lawn chairs than you ever seen.
Looks like there was a murder there. Do not cross tape.
Yes.
We get
there's arguments. There's like.
Oh, we always get there on a Wednesday late morning, and there's already miles of tape everywhere. Now, a few years ago, when they always changed it, they only have one race now, and it was always in August. Dave Lay always had a combo race the week before, so we would always go to that race on Saturday, claim our pit spots for the next weekend on the blacktop, and go to the beach for a week and come back Friday and race the points race. I don't know if he's having that the week before this year or not. I think there's an open there the week before, if I'm not mistaken. That race is in April. But yeah, just Atco was a nightmare as far as trying to find your pit spot. And we even had a guy the one year, we did that. We went to the beach. We had our trailers parked, and a guy came and parked literally 2 feet from my brother's trailer. Like, you're supposed to leave room for a car there. He literally parked 2 feet beside my brother's trailer. And, we lit the guy up, but what are you going to do? He wasn't going to move. So we ended up moving. Both of us, because we even had a spot saved for Herbie. We ended up moving because we can't race with another guy in your pit with his trailer and everything. So
Well, that makes
Yeah,
me feel a little better. If it's still something that the world champion still goes through stress on, then I don't feel so bad.
You know, you'll love this argument. And it wasn't really an argument. I was just, you know, having a little fun with our tech guys. But I said, why? You know, this was a few years ago after I won the division, and I think Byron. It was like 2 years after he had won the world championship in the division. I'm like, why do multiple-time defending division champ, why do we have to park out here in the grass and dirt when you got the new guy with the Copo Camaro or the Cobra Jet Mustang or the Drag Pack Challenger with it, just because he has a big rig and whatever? Why does he get to park up here on the blacktop and we're out here in the grass? Shouldn't he have to pay his dues and win some races before he gets this, you know, red carpet thrown out for him to come in and race with us? But I was just joking. You know, that seriously, like I was told years ago, the division champ had his choice to where he wanted to park for the divisional races. But
No,
I don't know. Not anymore. Hey, you're the champ. Yeah, see you out there in the dirt.
Yeah. That's how they handicap it.
Bryan, are you going to hit the? I'm sure you've heard by now about the Class Racing Revival race in St. Louis.
Planning on it.
Tyler Bohannon's throwing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Planning on that.
And
Hopefully
that
hitting the Easter
March
weekend.
31st to April 3rd, I believe, St. Louis.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Hopefully starting the season in Gainesville for the baby Gators and the Gators, and then go to that one. Get a couple races in before we come back and knock heads with the Division I guys. Of course, most of them will be down in Gainesville anyway.
Right. Yeah. That Gainesville early in the year, it's a good excuse to get out of this crap weather up here and go down there. And I feel like last year when they had Gainesville late in the year, I don't think you're going to get the same kind of turnout.
Well, that was the Atlanta. You did have the Gator Nationals. You know, they ran them on schedule.
Wasn't that
And
one of the last races?
Yeah, it was the last race. I was
Yep.
going to go, and Byron wasn't going to go, but I was going to go, and Herbie and I were going to go. And then Herbie couldn't enter because of the quota. Wonderful quota.
50 cars.
Yeah. And so I withdrew. Literally, you know, that I didn't know that was going to be my last opportunity to race until June, or I'd have probably gone by myself.
It'll be really interesting this year to see how everything shakes out, what's going to be open, what's not. I mean, I hope everybody's racing and this crap's all behind us. But
well, what I understand, Florida hasn't shut anything down, and they have one of the lowest. They're reporting one of the lowest rates of positive tests right now. So I think, you know, all these states, whatever, that shut everything down we're just hurting ourselves.
I think
You don't even want to hear my opinion on the mask deal.
where the
I
rubber
have my
meets
mask
Facebook
on.
newsfeed.
Hold on. Hey, here I am. I have my mask on. Hi, Governor.
where the rubber meets the road, though, is when higher powers dictate and they start pulling money from states. So that's when we'll decide who's tough and who's not. Like, I'm pretty sure in South Dakota, our governor's got a pretty strong stance on what she can and can't do, and we don't need anybody else. We don't need the government money, so they can't really hold much above us. So I think we'll stay open, but some of those bigger states, they might see a little more pressure from above to toe the line, and I hope that's not where it goes. I hope everybody can race and have fun, but that's really the St. Louis will be a good maybe first race for some people, and if things are shut down, I'm glad that'll be the opportunity we can go do.
Yeah, I don't think all the races I've been to, I haven't heard of anybody having COVID, and anybody tested positive that I know of that raced anywhere, and especially getting it from a race. I know I haven't heard that either. I don't know about your races, but you know, other than, you know, supposedly having to wear the masks, the only races we really got told we had to wear the masks up the staging lanes and all that was Dallas and Vegas. everywhere else we went, it was pretty lax. I mean,
pretty
they
easy to socially
recommended it.
distance at a
Yeah,
track too,
yeah,
though. Like
yeah.
I provided some funny math for that on Facebook. I was just like, Maple Grove is like so many acres, and I could with a
Yeah, like,
6 foot
I said the
radius,
exact same thing.
you could fit like 90,000 people there.
Yeah.
You
I was like, you can't.
You guys can't minimize the situation though. Like we literally lost a computer to COVID today. Like we're normally doing Facebook Live, and I mean we're gonna have it tested. You know, who knows how the tests will come back. We got a rapid test, so it'll probably be 4 weeks before we know what happens.
Jeez. How about the Class Racer Nationals in new media? Kenny Milley of ClassRacing.com announced that he's bringing that back August, July 31st to August 1st. Bryan, you going to hit that one?
Bobby, it's like an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and a half from my house. What do you think?
Ah, that's a short one for you.
We got it good here. I mean, I'm telling you, Bryan, I'm sure you don't want to hear this, but our farthest trip for a points race is Epic, and that's on a good day. That's like 8 hour drive.
Yeah.
I've been going up back to there for how many years now? I think I can only count a handful of times when it's taken me 8 hours or less to get there. Everything else, there's always traffic, there's always wrecks, construction, and then it's like 4 or 5, 6 different routes to get there.
So I'm about 3.5 from Brainerd, and Earlville, Iowa is probably close to 7.5. Would be the second closest one I can go to. So
wow.
We got Lebanon Valley, which is about 5.5. New Media, hour and a half. Maple Grove, hour and 15 minutes. Atco, 2.5. Virginia, 4.5, depending on traffic. Maybe 5 if we go the roundabout way.
And that's frankly, that's kind of the limiting factor here. That's, like to get enough grade points to even get into Brainerd. You pretty much need 6 grade points to get into Brainerd for a divisional or for the national. And I did the divisional thing, and I'd like to do the national, but I mean, I got to go to Great Bend, Kansas, and Topeka just to try to get enough points, and it's honestly
makes
it tough.
Hey, we have 7 points races here in Division 1, and like I said, 8 hours is the farthest I have to go for one of them.
Yeah.
And guys around here do it, and they put on the miles, and they do it, and they're really successful at it. I look at, we have such a strong association here, and for me, kind of cutting my teeth in stock and figuring out what's going on, I mean, the payouts are just as good, if not better, and I can go 3.5 hours to one, it's 3.5 hours to the other one. Brainerd's 3.5. Basically within 5 hours, I can race 6-7 times. And for where I'm at in my life with kids and events and family stuff, like it's hard to go drive 8 hours to go sit at a divisional for 3 days. I mean, you're a working guy just like I am. I mean, your time is just as valuable as your money almost. I mean, there's just so many things to do, and it's kind of a limiting factor. I'm going to try to hit a few divisionals. I'd like to try to get enough grade points to do a national. I think Bobby tells me it's all that, so I'm going to just go and win one and see what it's like.
Hey, win a world championship, then you don't have to worry about that ever again.
No more
grade points.
Honey, we're saving money. We're going to get a gold card. We don't have to pay for these anymore.
There you go. Hey, you want to hear something funny? I was going to, Bobby, you'll appreciate this. The world champ gets a gold card, obviously. Division champ gets a gold card. Well, Byron finished number 2 in each, so he just gets the silver card. That's it. So I was going to ask Dave Moan if I can defer my division gold card to him. I'll forfeit my division gold card and give it to Byron,
right?
So he can have a gold card for the year.
I might as well let you.
You should have let your older brother win, just so.
He already has a win. He already has a championship.
All right, Bryan, what's the difference, Warner, between the gold card and the silver card? The gold card gets you free entry to every national and every divisional.
Yep.
And silver just gets you.
The gold card's supposed to get you, at least it used to, free entry into any race you want to go to in an NHRA track.
Okay.
All year long. So obviously Bohannon's race and right. Mealy's races are different. They're not But if I wanted to go to a national open, I should get in for free. If I want to go to an NHRA bracket race,
Yeah, like a bracket race. Yeah.
But I don't think that's true anymore. I think it's just if they'd had super stock at a race. So I'm not going to go race super stock at a bracket race.
What's the silver card get you?
Free national events.
Free national.
Other than you just don't, you have to pay the insurance.
And that's true for gold and silver. You got to pay the insurance.
Yeah. The first year I got a gold card was in 2008 when I won the division in 2007. And I believe that was the first year that you had to pay the insurance with your gold card. Like before that, you didn't pay anything. And back then, I think it was only like $50.
Does that surpass then grade points? Do you need grade points then to get in, or can you just sign up now?
World champ? Yeah. The gold and silver card. Actually, here's another thing a lot of people don't realize, that a gold and silver card, you can enter the race the last day, like the Monday before the race.
So silver still guarantees you entry?
Yes.
Okay.
Gold and silver guarantee you entry. And a lot of people don't even know this. Like in the second half of the season, top 10 or close to or getting close to the top 10, you're guaranteed entry too.
Right.
Like I had to pull that to get entry into the Vegas National. I had to tell them, hey, look, I'm number 1 in the world. Can I get into the Vegas National?
Right.
And so I had to contact, I can't remember her name. Dave Moon put me in contact with her, and I had to enter that way. And then the funny thing was I even had a withdrawal to use to enter that race. I still have one. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to have to enter, use my withdrawal to enter a race like at the end of the year that I know I'm not going to go to, and then just use withdrawal from there and use it next year if I have.
Yeah, because I think it keeps adding a year every time you withdraw, and that's what you might.
And let me just go on the record as stating I'm not going to be that guy.
So do they?
I am not going to enter before any race this year before that Monday.
Very kind.
Yes. And I think Byron's the same way.
Yeah, I've noticed that about
we went round and round with some guys on the internet last year, especially after Gainesville, because Herbie couldn't get in, and there was like a handful, maybe 4, 5, or 6 guys that were gold card, silver card, past world champs that were entered, and we're like, asking each and every one of them why do you do that? One of the guys, and I don't even know if he knew he could do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, there's people we race with that don't know half of the stuff they should know. I mean, we won't even get into, the figuring out what you're going to run if you dump 1,000 foot. I guarantee it, Bryan, I'm not picking on you, but I guarantee you there's 3/4 of the racers we race against don't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. They think they have to run their car to the quarter mile to figure out what they were going to run.
Good. I like those guys.
Keep
doing it.
So if you sign up, then do they let 61 cars race then, or does somebody else get kicked out if it's full?
No. If the quota's met, if the quota's met, and then that Monday or whatever day before that, 5 or 6 gold card, silver card, world champs sign up, then you get 65, 66 cards instead of 6.
Right. And that turns it into a 7-round race, which is one of the reasons I think that they're only limiting us to 50 or 55 now. I guess they're trying to account. They want that to be 64 or less. I think they want one less round. These quotas are bullshit. My first year running a national event at Maple Grove, I got in with 1 grade point, amazingly. And we had 90 something. I think it was like 100 super stockers. I was qualified like probably 90 out of 100, but like it was full. And it was like one of those weekends where we had drizzling. We still got the whole race finished though, I think. I just don't understand what these quotas, especially in Division 1. I have been saying, listen, you take that division, Maple Grove Divisional gets 128 stockers. You got to come up with some kind of a percentage system that the Maple Grove National event should get like take 75% of whatever they got at the divisionals, multiply it by 0.75. That's how many stockers you need to take, or that's how many super stockers, whatever. Come up with something that makes sense, not 50 stockers at a place that can get 128.
I don't even agree with that, because when my dad first came back, started racing in the early 90s, and we would go to these national events. We would go to Englishtown, Maple Grove, Gainesville, everything up and down the East Coast, Norwalk, or not, Norwalk wasn't NHRA back then, Columbus, wherever. You had no quotas. You had 80, 90 super stockers. You had over 100 stockers. You had a full field of super comp, super gas, super street, whatever they ran. Obviously back then you didn't have top sportsman, top dragster, but you had the alcohol cars. You had 3 times more alcohol cars back then that you do now, and you had probably minimum at any of those races you probably had 30. Yeah, probably 4. I was going to say 40.
Yeah,
40 pro stockers. You had 20 fuel cars in each category. And if you had bikes, you had, 20, 25 of them. You had a full manufacturer's midway.
Yeah.
Full. I mean, you had probably 20 trailers up there.
I
Where did all the pit
remember
space,
that. Yep.
Where did all the pit space go? Because now pro stock parks were the alcohol cars used to, and the alcohol cars are now down into where the sportsman pits used to be. And all the sportsmen are way out in the dirt, so where did all this pit space go? I mean, I know the answer, but why are we doing this? Why are we, they're taking money out of their pocket, whether they realize it or not. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
No, I wish they would bring that midway back.
That brings me up
too young to appreciate it.
Brings it up to an interesting point here. If we ask everybody this, but what's one rule you'd like to see changed?
Well, we just talked about it. Quotas. That's definitely. I don't know if you can call that a rule, but getting back to the suspension. I'd love to see my car be able to have an aftermarket front suspension. Not like we talked about before. Not only is that a safety feature, but performance as well. Other cars in my class, not super stock class, but cars that I compete against run that. I should be able to. That there you go. That's one rule I'd love to see change.
Well, I'd agree on the quota. I'm a proponent that they should let qualify, right? So let in 80 cars, but we're going to qualify the top 60 or 50 or whatever at least.
I say let in 80 and race 80. You're talking about one extra round. Yeah. How long does it take, barring an oil down or an accident? How long does it take to run around a super stock first round?
Let's say first round is the only one. First 2 rounds maybe are the ones that you got to suffer through pairing up. After that,
but you got the designated pair rule, which I think is fair. I like it. I've been a designated pair. If you're one of the last 3 qualifiers and you race those guys, you're up there first. No questions asked. That gets the ball rolling. I know there's guys back there that don't want to be first. I don't want to be first, but there's times when you got to be first. And, you hate to see the tech peer, the lanes people having to beg people to pair up and go up there.
Yeah.
But it's just reality that people just, I don't know. I don't get it. You get up there, you pair up, you're both able to get out and move up.
Right.
Now, me being the champ, I think I should have special treatment there, and I shouldn't have. Kidding. Totally kidding.
Are you getting your trailer? Is your trailer going to be rewrapped with champ on the side of it?
No, hell no.
Sunday, running 2 rounds. There's only 4 cars left on Sunday. Like I think you could run. You should definitely run 3 rounds on Sunday.
When they, well, you know what? I kind of like being able to sleep in Sunday, but
Yeah, but you can sleep in and still run. There's 8 cars. It takes like 5
Do you remember,
extra minutes.
Hey, talking about those old national events, do you remember we never raced 4 rounds on Saturday? We might have ran one or two maybe. But
you guys kind of have your
now
rose. You guys have your rose-colored glasses on though, because you can sleep in. You're only 3 hours from home.
I remember running class, even as I've only been doing this for 11 years, class on Friday, which I loved because that guaranteed first round was on Saturday. Hey, I made it to Saturday already. I didn't even have to do anything yet. So we were finishing those races with more cars, not running first round Thursday night or running class Thursday during qualifying. When there's no spectators and there's no like NHRA TV to even watch it, I'm not a fan of that. Because I pay for that subscription just to watch basically class and qualifying and the first couple rounds of stock and superstock.
What's gonna happen with that now? we have to subscribe to it now to be able to watch anything. There's a rule, Brian, I want changed. I want our old D1, D3 drag racer TV back. I don't want to have to pay NHRA like I did a few times. And you go to watch Superstock or Stock, and it's audio only on the first day of the event. I mean,
right,
what
camera's
kind of
not
shit
on.
is that?
Yeah. I want my membership dues to cover the cost of it. That's what I want.
But you got a gold card. You can just show up.
Yeah, you're allowed to spectate for free?
Here's my gold card.
Doesn't the NHRA jet just fly in, pick you up? Hey, want to go to... Let's go see what's happening in Pomona this weekend.
Gonna pay somebody to drive my rig out there and fly in.
All right, Brian, ask him the question. Go ahead. I know you want to ask it. Go ahead.
So what's the idea to bring more people into class racing?
Not that one.
I know what he wants to ask. What do you want to ask? Come on.
Yeah. Do you think TruStart's bullshit too?
Nah. You know what? I don't. And I've driven a 990 10-second car pretty much the entire time I've been racing Superstock. And years ago when we first started, there was a lot of cars in that ET range, and the 990s to the 1020s. Nowadays, you have, I would say, at least 75% of the cars at a race are faster than that. And I'm a proponent of it. Now, like I told you earlier, we're building those LS motors. Then we'll go from being in that ET range to being in the low 9s. Will I be in favor of it then? I don't know. I mean, I think it's good. I really do. I honestly think that there is a definite advantage to leaving second. Definite advantage on both ends of the track. I know. So we heard the distraction factor, and we heard and granted, hey, I run when I run GTJ automatic and I'm running the car, running 980s, and you run that 1150, super stock P automatic or whatever, or whatever, it's the same deal. But listen, I don't run a blinder. I do it all on pure focus, bottom line. If you can't tell me those guys in those fast cars don't have all kinds of blinders, because I see them. I go by and look at people's cars. I see what they've got. The distraction factor, if that's a problem for you, then drive a slower car. Leave first. See how you make out the other end.
So we're going to split your response up here. So you're running LS1s for next year? Is that the official word on the street?
There'll be the LS3, the 350. But I was gonna try to hurry my process up and get it ready for this year, but barring any unforeseen miracles, I should be the Jegs All-Stars rep for Division One. I want to win that before I quit. This will be my third attempt. So, unless somebody catches fire, and I know Byron will probably be sitting here saying, "Yeah, I win. If I win 4 races, I'm in." Well, I said that. He said it the other day on a group text, and I said, "Well, when's the last time somebody won 4 races in a season in Division One Superstock?" I don't remember it.
Nope.
Not
Superstock.
since I started racing in 07. Somebody chimed in, well, last year somebody won 5, and I was like, yeah, in stock, not Superstock.
So, and the other part on the TruStart is, so if it's such a big deal, we didn't have it this year. Was it fast or slow cars that won stock and Superstock?
Well,
I rest my case.
I know you're pointing at Jody. Jody's an anomaly. He don't count. That guy could beat a jet plane in a bracket race, with his station wagon.
Which even proves the point more. Just get better and it don't matter.
Yeah, you know what? I have gotten a lot stronger racing those fast cars. I mean, now the end of the year performance wouldn't indicate it because I lost to Bertazzi at Dallas in the 4th round at a very, very, very dark finish line. And, I ran out by more than him. I took some stripe, but I think a little bit of that stripe was with the nose of the car. But, and then the same thing happened to me 4th round at the Vegas points race. I ran DeForest, and he stuck me in the right lane, of course, so I couldn't see. But, I don't know. I think I've gotten a little better at judging them at the finish line this year, or the past couple of years. But they still have the advantage. You're talking about TruStart. Even guys that don't, I don't know, what do you want to say, that don't drive the finish line. So they definitely still have the advantage because the whole race goes down in front of them. And if they're leaving second, maybe you can see, when you left, whether you're going to catch the guy. I think. That's my experience when I chase somebody. So I don't know. We can argue all day long whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage, But I don't know. I personally, I feel more comfortable chasing people or running somebody that's within maybe 5. If they're chasing me and they're within maybe 500ths or a tenth or 2-3 tenths dial, that I'm real comfortable with that. Right. But the Copos and the whatever, the factory cars coming on you at 160 and the modifieds that go 170 miles an hour, that's pretty drastic.
I would think, though, I've never drove a car that fast and probably never will, but I know, so when I'm dialed, I raced Mike Mans in a combo race in Brainerd, and I think I was dialed 1082 and he was like 863. I would say when the split gets that far off, I'm not sure that it's still an advantage.
Well,
if you're within a second or less, half a second, yeah, that's probably an advantage. If it's faster than that, I don't know that there is.
But think about that. But being the slower car, you're not going to judge that. You've got to put your faith in the dial in, mm-hmm. And you can't be down there playing with a guy at the finish line running, having you by 30, 40 miles an hour. That's just not a smart thing to do.
My plan going into that race is I dialed as tight as I possibly could. I knew I had to beat him on the tree, which I couldn't. And I got to the end, I'm like, I have him. I need to hit the brakes. But I already had my plan before then, is I am not touching the brake pedal. I don't think I can get there. I'm not doing it. 1,000 foot, I'm like, I'm quite a ways. He's not as close as he thought he'd be. Mile an hour cone, he's still not here. I should hit the brakes. Nope, not hitting. I broke out one more than he did. But it was just experience.
The funny thing about running those cars is when you leave the line and you look in your mirror and you see them leave the line, it looks like they're sitting still.
You're still pulling away from them.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you get to about the 1,000 foot mark and you look back and you're like, oh, man, here they come.
But I would think it's just as hard for them to judge, you know, and like if you're spot dropping and doing some of the other stuff that you can do, I think they're really kind of at a disadvantage.
Yeah, if you're a spot dropper and you're good at it, you hit the mark every time. But
Brent Kopeka and his front wheel drive car is always destroying fast cars, and it's amazing when people can really dial it in and spend time and come up with a system that works for them. Like that equalizes a lot.
Yep. Oh, I agree. You know, I was talking to Bobby yesterday. I was telling him about what a nightmare it was to dial your car at Vegas. I mean, that was by far the most inconsistent track that I've ever been to. I mean, starting line and finish line. It was a nightmare. And hey, every car, there was 4 races out there, right, in 3 weeks. Every car that won that race, with the exception of Jody Lang, what do they have in common?
9 seconds or faster.
Every one of them. Count them down. I mean, the stockers were the factory cars. The super stockers were the modified cars or the factory cars, except for Jody Lang and his stock.
Man, God, that's a testament to how good that guy is. But
anyway, I would say I am a proponent of TruStart. I think it could be good.
How about sticks and autos? You think they should be combined?
For what, class?
Yeah,
or heads ups.
But heads ups. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd have to obviously align some indexes with that, but it would cut down on the amount of classes in Superstock. I think there's too many.
With the way tech is now, I would say no.
There's tech?
Exactly. And I would just, I don't know. Right now, I think cheating's running rampant. But I wouldn't be in favor of that. Now, you know, maybe for class runoffs, maybe. But then again, like you said, you've got a whole lot of factoring in there of, you know, indexes, weight breaks, you know, how are you going to make it fair? What adjustment are you going to make on an index for a stick car as opposed to an automatic? You know, automatics are probably the best we've ever seen them ever now, but the stick shift transmissions are just as good.
There's really
what are you doing? Let me ask you this: you manually shift your stocker, right?
Right.
But it's an automatic.
Right. Yeah.
You manually shift your super stock car.
Right.
Other than leaving the starting line with a clutch, what is the difference? And the shifting pattern.
Yeah. Well, more shifts, quicker shifts.
But you're
that's also an advantage.
What is?
I can't run a radial tire. Well,
more
that's
gears,
debatable.
more shifting.
Like there's certain things.
You can run a radial.
They
did
say
it.
You can. I don't know. I gotta test that. But
go to Indy. There's guys running radials.
I don't even think it matters in super stock. Like I'm basically the only stick shift. Maybe with the exception of one or two other guys wherever we go. Maybe the Dutch Classic we might get a couple more. But at the Nationals at Maple Grove, I was the only one last year. I've had to run Scott Gove a couple times in the class runoff, which talk about your 7-second modified car.
How'd you judge that one?
Yeah,
I ran him once this year. I think he went red, thank God.
Well, he cut a 220 light against me, but he knew he just nipped me at the finish line.
You'll have to come out here to the Midwest and run in super stock here. There's all kinds of stick guys running around.
Are there?
I'll never forget my first round.
Go out west and run your buddy Schmack Pepper. Or have him come east.
My first round in a combo race ever, I was next Gene Bickelmeyer. And I remember getting in there and trying to stage, and I'm all nervous. And all of a sudden I heard this insanely crazy sound coming from the car next to me, and it was like he must have an on-off switch because that thing was at like 10,000 RPM. I'm like, I couldn't even hear my car, and I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Let that
I've
thing
heard
go.
that car a couple times.
Welcome to stock eliminator.
Super stock. Well, he was super stock.
Yeah,
right?
he's super stock. I'm just saying it was the combo race.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the
Right.
heck is that noise? I didn't know if my light was turning or not.
Well, Bryan, I got a question for you. What's the weirdest way you've lost a race?
I don't know. I lost races about every way you can.
Well, I guess you could say your car shut off on you. That would be a pretty weird one.
I don't think I've ever had that happen. Well, for me in my car, I think the weirdest one ever was Virginia last year at the National, 4th round, when I lost to Ken Hanley, when I blew the tires off. But the funny thing was, every car in the left lane that round, except maybe one, I think Daniels got off the line somewhat. But I should have known better. I even had lane choice, and I chose the left lane. I don't know why, because Ken Hanley ran the left lane the whole time, and I wanted to put him in the right. Really a smart move. But, I go out there, and what I should have done, and I even asked Dave Moon this, if I could do this. We went out there, we were in the burnout box, and Emily Volkman was in front of me, and she spun. And, runs about the biggest bias flat tire you're allowed, and that car never spins. And right then and there, I should have backed out, made a lane swap, and I didn't. And I let go of the trans brake, the car didn't move. I was like, I hadn't spun the tire since I put a new rear end in that car 5 years prior to that. And
yeah, you and your brother, you guys do run some
I
good
know
tires.
you've all seen. Yeah, we run the 14.5 33 radial, but my car is as good off the line as anybody's. Like I said, that's the first time I spun in 5 years.
So is there a rule on that? Can you back out?
Tracks. We can. You can back out if you have lane choice. You can, even if the other guy did his burnout, you can back out of there and say, "Hey, I want that lane." That's what Dave Moon told me. So.
I think I want to watch somebody else try that. I don't think I want to do that. Oh yeah, hey, I changed my mind. I'm going to move over.
I'd be afraid to do it.
Bobby, speaking of smack pepper, he did that to Justin Lamb.
Get out, really?
At Vegas. Yeah, the car. I forget what happened in front of him. I think a car put tranny fluid down on the track or something, and he did. He I think it was I think they were the first pair out, and there was a test car up there, and he put some fluid down on the track, and Tim had the right lane, and Lamb was in the left. And the next thing you know, you saw Tim's crew guy going over to the official, and then you saw him backing the guys backing them out, and Tim went over to the left lane.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's what I was told. If you have lane choice, you have up until the point basically that you go and pull out of the burnout box to change your mind.
Wow.
All right, in 10 seconds or less, because I don't want to go off into another topic, but do you think lane choice should be a coin flip, or should just the higher qualified car get it?
I like the coin flip.
You do?
Yeah. Yep. Is that a quick enough answer for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the coin flip. IHRA used to do that. IHRA used to do that higher qualified bull crap.
Did they?
Never agreed.
I feel like there's no reason for qualifying anymore then. Like, what do we do it for?
Do you have any ideas how to bring more people into class racing?
Not really. Look at who does it nowadays. Did anybody in your family do it, Bryan, before you?
Nope.
Yeah, so how'd you get into it? Just by somebody dragging you to the racetrack?
A series of bad decisions.
But I mean, I probably wouldn't. I'm sure I wouldn't be doing it if my dad wouldn't have raced when I was a kid. So,
I wanted to get into racing because my older brother did it, and I wanted to beat my older brother. So none of my car's faster than him, but we have yet to race, so that'll come here. I'm trying to get him to go to a stock, but.
I mean, other than that, or other than drag your friends along to the racetrack, maybe you get enough of them to come. Maybe one of them might get interested. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you one thing I think could really spark interest and maybe want people to come into stock and super stock is if NHRA would get rid of pro stock and put these factory cars as the main show, like that. You can't tell me that anybody identifies with one of those pro stock cars the way they look now.
Right, not anymore.
When my dad started racing again in '93 or '92, whatever year that was, those cars still looked like cars. Warren Johnson's car looked like a Oldsmobile, whatever he was running.
Yeah. Oldsmobile Forenza.
The Camaros looked like Camaros. The Fords looked like what they were supposed to look like. It was totally different, but
it was such a cool class.
Even the funny cars. I mean, look at the funny cars.
You stick a little logo on there. You stick a little Toyota or Chevy
or
Ford.
The Toyota looks like a Camaro or a Mustang or whatever. You just have different decals on the front of the car, back of the car. But yeah, I seriously think tub them out, give them bigger tires. I mean, who wants to watch I think the factory showdown show right now, those cars look stupid leaving the line because they have to retard the timing so bad to get them to leave. And then they go down the track looking like a boat in water because the front end's so loose and up in the air. Give them the big tires. Let them leave the line the way they should. I don't know. But if you want to keep the factory stock class the way it is, who knows? I mean, I understand those things are a lot more expensive now than they should be anyway. Probably fast approaching how much it costs to run a pro stock car.
Yeah, it didn't take long either. 4 years. Kind of like I suspected it would too.
Yep.
Well, thanks for your time today, Bryan. Time is flying by. It's been really good.
Yeah, well, if you guys would start on time, we'd have more time.
Hey, now come on, Corona hits everyone differently, and the computer just didn't take it as well. So we apologize for that.
You know me, Bobby, right? I'm always the first one up there when they call super stock.
Oh yeah,
ready to go.
Ready to go. He's got his tires checked. He's strapped in. Yep.
As soon as they call super stock, my starter's turning over. I'm ready.
Yep. Yeah. Bryan, you have any sponsors or special people you'd like to name or thank on here?
Well, of course, I couldn't do it without all the people that help us out. Genesis, our buddy Mike Kinnear, who got that deal for us. Tilburg Racing Engines, ATI, Insinger Performance and Sunoco Race Fuels, Mickey Thompson Tires, Brown and Miller Racing Solutions, and all my fellow co-workers at the Washington, D.C. Fire Department that allow me the time to go racing. And my family, of course. Mom, Dad. Dad got us into this sport. I don't know if that's fortunate or unfortunate. Right now it feels like it's fortunate. So we'll see how this year goes. See if my answer's the same.
All right, Bryan, we got to get these other firemen to call out when he needs to go racing, so he can't get any coverage.
That'll be all right.
There's other ways to get off.
Oh.
I'm just glad he's going to St. Louis. I'd like to meet some of these guys that we don't normally see. I'd like to go out east. I just don't know if it's in the works for a while. So St. Louis might be my Eastern trip.
I'm terrible with names. What's Gary's last name? Old Shark Bait.
Hampton.
Yeah, he was out in Vegas. He came out to our pit and introduced himself, talking to us. What a great guy. I mean, you talk about what could bring people in to the sport. If you go to a race, especially like Byron and I going to clear out to Vegas, just see how the other people treat you when you go out, explore different areas of the country at different racetracks. It's the camaraderie there, guys you never even talked to before. They come up and tell you, hey man, I follow you everywhere. I watch you guys and keep track of what you're doing, and it's a good feeling. So I guess if you want to feel popular,
yeah, it's
come
cool.
on out and start racing. My girlfriend races too, and she had a friend that actually spent a couple minutes in a race car. The funny thing was, when she started talking to my girlfriend about me, or when I started talking to her, she asked if I knew her, and I was like, I don't have a clue who she is. I guess she's one of those that thought you put your name on the side of a race car, you're instantly famous, right? Is that why you got into it, Bryan? You wanted to have a fan base. You wanted to have people think you're.
I'm not a sticker guy though. I don't have any stickers on the side of my car hardly. So maybe that's what I'm doing wrong.
I think we're gonna put a math tutoring sticker on the side of that bad boy. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know it's a lot less than it used to be, but you win a race without any of those decals on that car, you're gonna regret it.
Yeah, that's
get that NHRA check, and that's it. You don't have you can't look forward to calling up all these contingency sponsors asking them where your check is for the race you won in June.
I'm gonna have to put those on. I'm gonna put a big old pay up sucker across the side of the door. Bobby, you could just start winning some rounds, and you'd have more fun and be more famous too.
That's right. I got the. I can always fall back on the cool car fame, you know.
Did you get a Chevy? Did you change?
No, when I got to the West Coast, I was surprised too. They were like, you got that little red Mustang. I was
you got a Copo for Christmas, didn't you?
Oh boy, I wish.
Hey, you want to go out west and race stock? You know what kind of car you need?
What's that?
A Duster, a Plymouth Duster.
I think there should be a Duster class at just about any racetrack.
They are a dime a dozen out there.
Yeah. As an old Mopar guy, that's actually one of my favorite cars too. It's like, I think a Cuda would be pretty awesome, but Dusters they work really well. They're a dime a dozen. But man, we're gonna get really dove into the weeds here, and it's getting late. So thanks for coming on. We're gonna definitely have you on again. This was a lot of fun. Time flew by. Thanks for everybody for listening. Sorry we couldn't go live today. The computer got corona, so we're gonna try to get that straightened out. It'll be posted as soon as we're done here. But for everybody listening, yeah, well, it probably came from China. It was everything comes there now. But you can find us at classracingtoday.com. If everybody go on, the feedback's been great, the support's been great. Go ahead, if you want to help support us, go on to anywhere you're listening to the podcast. Give us a like, give us a review, whether it's Apple or all the many other places it is. YouTube, find us on there, like us, share. Also on Facebook, you can find us. If you want to give us some feedback, if you want to see somebody on there, even if you want to be on the show, classracingtoday@gmail.com is a great way to get a hold of us. It's been great, Bryan. You give me a lot of things to work forward to, and can't wait to see you in St. Louis.
All right, man. You too.